Hello viewers and welcome to round 5 of the Racedepartment GT Championship here from the Red Bull Ring. My name is Peter Lee and joining me in the commentary booth is Sam Carmichael. Sam, would you like to say hello?
Hello everyone. So yeah, it's a great race to be here at the Austrian Ring, well, formerly known as the Austrian Ring. What do you make of the track, Peter?
I think it's going to be very interesting tonight, especially because we've got the long straights, of course, of the Red Bull Ring, coupled with those slower corners, especially turn 1, turn 2 and turn 4, all very, very slow corners here. And I think the key to setup here is going to be the balance between acceleration but also the straight line speed. So we can see here on the top we've got a different driver here, but first of all let's go into the team standings here as they exit round 4 and come into round 5, and we actually crowned a champion at round 4 in this team's championship. So it was FinnTeam who, with their win and 3rd place in the previous round, have now secured the championship, and they are sitting on 157 points. Speedy Mike Racing are in 2nd place on 78 points, followed by Talking Door Racing on 56. Stay Puffed are on 42 points, and then there's a tie for 5th place between Redshift Racing and S56 Design, both on 31 points. Redshift Racing very much helped in the previous round with very good results there, so they've really been propelled up the championship order. Flying Bollards are in 7th place with 26 points, followed by Priority 1 with 20 points. 6 points for Copenhagen Apex and Gains Go Racing are on 5 points, along with DTK Racing also on 5 points. We've got 0 point scores for Skyspeed Sports, and then -5 for STR Racing and -13 for Team Oldman. So Sam, we've got just under 10 minutes of qualifying left in this session, and we've seen at the top of the field, we've got Jake Cooper on a 1:28.876, a very, very quick lap. And we've not seen this guy yet in the championship, but from the look of it, it looks like he's going to be able to challenge the likes of Thomas Tartler and also Speedy Mike Racing.
Definitely. I was watching the practice earlier on, and it seemed like Tartler had the better of Cooper by about, I think it was 100th of a second, and all of a sudden now into qualifying, Cooper's a full 10th quicker than Thomas Tartler. So it'll be interesting to see what the race pace is like, but it seems at the moment Cooper has the edge on him.
Yeah, definitely, and with that lap he's just put in another 1:28, 1:28.9. So you'd think that he's been able to uphold this pace, at least in qualifying, but we'll have to see for the race. And the Lamborghini you'd think would be strong around here with his good top end speed and also his fairly good handling as well. We've seen Robert Wiesemuller, another new driver for this series here, and he's been in TPS, of course, you may know him from, but he's now in with us at Racedepartment here for this round. And the Lamborghinis look strong this weekend, so it's going to be very interesting to see the battle between the Lamborghinis and the Audis.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first round at Monza, we've seen a lot of GTRs up at the front, due to obviously the just pure straight line speed of them. But as you said before, a track which balances straight line and acceleration, we might find a lot of the, say, mid-engine cars with good balance at the front of the grid, as currently now the top 3 is Lamborghini, an Audi R8, and, well, it just was a Ferrari 488, but I do believe a GTR just snuck in at 3rd place.
Yes, we do have Kevrakadis, who has just gone up into 3rd place in the Nissan, and he's been strong throughout this season, so looking for another result here to add to that list. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Nissan can do, especially I think with the handling of the car, of course, not as good as any of the other cars really, but we've seen in the previous rounds that it's been able to adapt to those circuits where you may not think it would perhaps be too much suited. But as you said, in 5th position we have Giuseppe Iaria, who is returning to the series here after 2 race absence. Of course, he missed he didn't miss Brands Hatch, he disconnected from Brands Hatch, and then he missed the previous round at Silverstone. So with just over 6 minutes to go, do you see Cooper upholding that provisional pole position, or do you think the Audis will come to the top as they have done in most of the previous rounds?
It's definitely an interesting point. It seems like Cooper at the moment is, well, he obviously is on top at the moment, but I think if there's any person to dethrone him from pole position, it is Thomas Tartler. He's an incredibly quick driver, and as he's proved across the season, he's one to be fighting for the win, and I don't really expect anything less today. But I'd say the main focus is the gap between the top two and the third place driver. It's probably about 0.4 of a second, I think. So very reminiscent of Formula 1 seasons as of late.
Yes, very, very true that. But as you said, Tartler has had an extraordinary season here. In all 3 occasions he's raced for FinnTeam, he's scored a win, so 3 wins out of 3, as we saw at Monza, Brands Hatch, and also at Silverstone. So you'd expect much of the same here, but it has been shown that FinnTeam can make mistakes, and we saw that Tartler made a bad start at Silverstone, which put Jujovski into a podium scoring position in what could have been a win if he didn't make contact with Tartler partway through the race. But you'd expect Tartler to come out on top as he has done, and he now goes to pole position with a 1:28.853. But as you said, in practice we had 100th of a second between them, and there's now just 200th between them. So very close again here at the top.
Yeah, it seems that the race will be the obviously deciding factor. So I think we can look forward to a great battle between Thomas Tartler and Jake Cooper. Is it Jake Cooper?
Yes, it is Jake Cooper in second position. Yes. So we've got just under 5 minutes to go in this session. Let's run through your top 10 for you with just under 5 minutes to go. It's Thomas Tartler, who is on provisional pole position, just 200ths ahead of Jake Cooper. Then very close between third and fourth position. Kevin Kedis, of course, in third, ahead of Robert Wiesemuller. Fifth position is Giuseppe Iaria, followed by Fev Gartos in sixth position. Seventh position is Jonas Hillert in the McLaren this time out. He's been in the Lamborghini previously, but now jumped over into the McLaren and looks very strong here in the top 10 position. Eighth position is Erhan Jajovski, of course, who had that brilliant win at the Nürburgring, taking advantage of FinnTeam's mistakes, and he's really shone throughout this season. He's just been overtaken though by Cavion. In 10th position we have the other FinnTeam driver. We've got a different FinnTeam driver here this weekend, this round, and that is Christoph Volkeling. So we've seen FinnTeam have been able to adapt with new drivers, and it seems that with a top 10 position, Volkening is doing well again for FinnTeam with the new drivers.
Seems to be a bit more of a gap up front. I think Thomas Tartler just run a lap time of 1:28.6.
Yes, he's just put in a lap time of 1:28.6, which is the fastest lap we've actually seen throughout this weekend. But amazing lap there to go just under 2/10 quicker than Jake Cooper. He's got just over 3 minutes left in the session to try and improve on that. And we've just seen Tartler come out the pits ahead of Jake Cooper. So these two are going to go on to our final runs now, you would think. Maybe one more run they could squeeze in after this. But at the top we've got Thomas Tartler, and that's really no different than we've seen in the other rounds. But further down we've got drivers like Fev Gartos and Jonas Hillert, who in the McLaren especially, we've seen that the McLaren's got decent straight line speed but also decent handling. So do you think the McLaren could do well?
It's definitely one of those cars that obviously with GT3 racing it throws it in the mix, and if anything does go wrong, a car of some sort is there to pick up the pieces, and the McLaren is a strong package. So we could expect one of them to be at the front today. Just going back to practice, our cameraman Davey van der Veen, who is obviously operating all the cameras for the stream, he's doing a great job, so just shout out to him. He noticed that Thomas Tartler tops out 6th gear before the end of the pit straight, whereas Jake Cooper's Lamborghini does not. So maybe a bit of gear setup going on.
Yes, we actually saw
in straight line speed.
Yeah, we saw this in Silverstone as well. Both FinnTeam drivers were topping out at the end of the Hangar Straight. So we said that it may be that they aren't accounting for being in slipstream or being in a position where they would get to that top speed, but it seems that it's just top speed of the Audi is just reaching it by the end of the straight, whereas with the Lamborghini, of course, with that slightly higher top speed, isn't.
Looks like both drivers are on their final runs now, coming up past 10 too.
Yes, we've got just over a minute and a half remaining in the session now. So at the top it is Thomas Tartler from Jake Cooper. Third position is Kevin Kedis ahead of Robert Wiesemuller. Fifth position is Giuseppe Iaria ahead of Stelios Fev Gartos. 7th position is Jonas Hillett in the McLaren ahead of Cavion. That is Pierre. We've got 2 Cavions in this race. We've got Octavia and Pierre, both driving for S56 design. But the orange car there is Pierre Cavion. And we've seen Lamborghinis are very strong, so the Lamborghini is a favourite for you, or would you still go with the Audis?
I think the season speaks for itself really, and the performance by the FinnTeam crew with the Audi R8. But as we say, we've never seen Jake Cooper in this series before. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. He's first time in this series, so we're probably expecting him to do well, you'd think.
Yeah, so he seems the wild card in the pack, and he seems to be getting a lot out of the Lamborghini, which possibly other people couldn't have, or just left on the table. But it seems like Tattler just went across the line and improved further again, 2.2 128.5, 3 tenths clear of Jake Cooper.
Yeah, so again his dominance showing here in qualifying. He was quickest at Silverstone as well, but it looks like it's going to be Thomas Tattler who's going to... The lights go out and we are racing here at the Red Bull Ring. It is a good start there from Thomas Tattler. He gets the best of the jumps from the front, and it's now in second place is a spin there for Giuseppe Arias in the middle of the field there, but at the front it is Thomas Tattler ahead of Robert Wiesemuller and Kevrakedis as they head into turn 2 and 3.
It seems we have a car stopped on the grid.
Yes, it does.
Green Lamborghini of Stathoros.
Yeah, it looks like Stathoros has been stuck on the grid. Hopefully he can get them going again, but it does look like it's Thomas Tattler who is leading the race here from Robert Wiesemuller and Kevrakedis. Jake Cooper, who had that awesome lap in qualifying, is now down in 5th position, battling alongside the fellow Lamborghini of Pierre Cavion there as they go into turn number 6 here. Right behind, right in front of them is Erhan Jajovski, who's made an unusually poor qualifying. He now slides around as he tries to gain traction out of the corner, and it looks like Jake Cooper's going to try and go around the outside, but it is Thomas Tattler who's going to lead them as they come towards the end of lap number 1.
And Stathoros has got going off the start line now.
Good news for him then, but it is Thomas Tattler who leads as they exit the final corner and come onto the second lap of 60 here, ahead of Robert Wiesemuller, who's made an awesome start from a 4th position ahead of Kevrakedis, who is now in 3rd position, same as his starting position. Erhan Jajovski's made an awesome start up to 4th position as Jake Cooper makes a move up the inside of Pierre Cavion. Very, very close between the two drivers. Pierre Cavion keeps position as they exit turn 1, and an awesome exchange there between the two Lamborghinis.
Further down the field, it looks like Jeffrey Tassimov is about to make a move into turn 2 there. Thought better of it. There seems to be a Lamborghini dive bombing up the inside, and it seems to have cut off the McLaren of Marco Weigter.
Yeah, there's some contact there at the top of the hill, but it looks like they've all got going again. Cavion trying to get going again, waiting until the rest of the field comes back, so that's a disaster for the Lamborghini there, but looks like Ricardo Edelman is battling alongside Jonas Hillett there for 10th position as well, so these top 10 positions here on these first opening laps are very, very action-packed here, and today's no different. So they begin lap number 3 here at the Red Bull Ring. It is still Thomas Tattler who leads here from 3.22 seconds back to Robert Wiesemuller. 3rd position is Akris Kevrakedis as the exit turn number 1. Jajovski is in 4th position. Right behind him is Jake Cooper, who's now made his way up to that 5th position spot. Behind him is Pierre Cavion as Cooper looks to the inside there of the Ferrari. He's going to make the move into the top of the hill hairpin. It looks like he's made a great move there in order to get up to 4th position, but they're going to be side by side as they run along the top straight there. So let's see who can get them better of each other down into the next corner.
And a bit further down the field, it looked like, I think that was Jeffrey Tassenoir just made a pass on 2 cars. He passed Enzo Fazzi and Jonas Hillett into turn 3.
Brilliant move then for Jeffrey Tassenoir as he goes up to now 11th position. He's going to try and close down the fellow Redshift Racing car of Ricardo Edelman. So he's got past one, but it's now a 2-second gap to the next one. So that is what he's going to be hoping for in order to get back up to the 10th position spot. Usually seeing him at the top there, 2 6th positions at the start of the season. He has a poor results at the British rounds, but now he looks like he's back on form here at the Red Bull Ring as they come on to lap number 4, and the gap between the top 2 is now up to 5 seconds. There's now a battle between 2nd position and 3rd position. It looks like Kevin Kedis is right all over the back of Wiesenmuller, who's dropped back from the leading Audi of Totella as they go into turn number 3 there. And Kevin Kedis very, very close to the Lamborghini of Wiesenmuller, but through these corners he really can't do anything in the Nissan, sorry, as they go through the part of the circuit that really requires good handling. 4th position here is Jake Cooper, who's made a poor start, but he's going to look to get back up the order. And really, it's not what we've expected from Jake Cooper, because from qualifying, we'd think he'd be right up there in 1st or 2nd position.
And while you're explaining all that, it appears Niemanen in the black Ferrari had a spin at turn 2 and has dropped down to 25th.
So a bad day for the Ferrari of Jarkko Niemanen, but his teammate is doing okay in the top 15 there. So it's looking like that team of Sky Sports Speeds is going to be looking for some points there. But in fact, he's in 7th position is Chinesky. Right behind him is the 2nd FinnTeam Audi of Volkanig. So FinnTeam currently running 1st and 8th position at the moment, as we see a challenge there up into turn 2 for Kevin Kedis. Moves out the slipstream as they go into the braking zone, but not able to make it through this time round.
And of course, while all this is happening, Jake Coop has had the chance to close up on the top 2nd and 3rd place drivers. Now, the top 2, 3, and 4 covered by less than a second.
Yeah, it's very close here between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. This is where Jake Cooper is going to be wanting to try and get past the drivers in front of him. Of course, we're already on lap 5 here in this race, so it's gone through very quickly. 5th position is Erhan Jajovski there, and he's in a battle with Pierre Cavillon for the S56 design team car. Then behind that, there's another battle between Chinesky, Volkanig, and also Samuel Fuller, who's done really well in this BMW Z4, and here's today is no different. And we've now got Kevin Kedis who's gone up to 2nd position there into the penultimate corner. Looks like Cooper has made an error, made most of that as well, and Wiesenmuller has now dropped back to 4th position, where he's going to drop the Lamborghini down into turn 1. Looks thinks about making a move, but not going to make it this time round. There's contact between them as they go into turn 1. Cooper and Kevin Kedis both making contact, and that sent Kevin Kedis back to the back of that group. So a real reshuffling of that order there, but Cooper's now got past both of them in that exchange.
I think if that was contact, I don't think Cooper will be too pleased by the race steward's decision on that one. I've seen previous races, I think at Brands Hatch, I think it was Mateus Machado, he was nudged coming into the first corner and moved slightly out of the way. An opponent passed him, and that opponent who did provide the nudge was given a penalty.
Yes, it looks like that could be the case, but Jeffrey Tassenoir is now up to 10th position here, and right behind him is Ricardo Edelman, and we've got a big battle going on between them, and Erhan Jajovski's in the wall there at turn number 3. Looks like he's not going to finish this race because he is severely planted in the wall, but tumbles down the order here. The battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th and 13th as well, with the two McLarens there of Cyril Sauce and Jonas Hillett there, both battling away as well. So we've got a big battle here going on. In fact, that's Marco Watcher who's in that car this weekend. So the battles throughout the top 10 and top 15 and throughout the point scoring positions are really, really hotting up here as they approach 1/6 race distance.
As we see at the start of the race, Giuseppe Aria going round the first corner. He's already back up to 16th place from 27 runners. We have had 2 did not finish, as you just mentioned. Aaron Jajowski just out of the race, and I believe it was a green Lamborghini of Slathoros who did not make the start. Well, he did make the start, but he didn't move. So that's when we lost him. And Nick Wheeler is a lap down on my board, but I'm not entirely sure. So maybe that's a fault on my end, the ACTV.
Yes, he's saying he's a lap down for me as well. So he's still got another lap to go until he passes Aaron Jajowski. But it looks like Nick Wheeler's not had the best of starts either in the McLaren. But out front is Thomas Tartler, who's got an 8-second lead now over Jake Cooper. But P7 is a real battle here, as we got Volkanik just defending from Pierre Cavillon as they head into the 2 left-handers. Is he going to be able to make a move into this section? Looks like he's going to have to stay right behind the Audi, but taking a different line to the Audi through that corner, trying to make the most of that Lamborghini's acceleration out the corners as they go towards the end of lap number 7.
As we mentioned before, Jeffrey Tassomar's pursuit of Ricardo Edelman has now come to an end, and he has got past him. So that is Jeffrey Tassamar past both Redshift Racing Nissan GTRs.
Yes, he's now up to 8th position as Pierre Cavillon tries to make a move into the final corner. Not able to do it that time round, but they're going to be side by side between the Audi and the Lamborghini as they go down the straight. Looks like the Lamborghini's top end speed is going to help him to draw alongside and draw slightly in front into the braking zone. Volkanik, can he do anything about the Lamborghini? It doesn't look like he's going to be able to, and this may allow the Z4 of Samuel Fuller to also have an attack as they go into turn number 2. But we've got a 6-car train here, and we've got a Lamborghini followed by an Audi, followed by a BMW, and then followed by 3 Nissans as we see the 2 Redshift racing cars battling. So a real mix-up of cars within this top 10, top 15 runners.
Could possibly see Jeffrey Tassamar getting past Samuel Fuller here, using the power of the GTR down the straight into turn 3. Chose the outside line, and they get past him.
Going to run side by side through the corner. It looks like he's going to be able to hold it round the outside of the Z4, and Tassamar is going to have the inside line for the next left-hander, and it looks like Tassamar has made it through. So the BMW dropping back there in the acceleration zone, the power of the Nissan off the corner is really helping him get through. And now his next challenge is going to be mounted on Volkanik, who has dropped back behind Cavillon and now around a second behind as well. So it looks like Volkanik not quite having the pace here at the Red Bull Ring, as Tassamar is all over the back of him. And we've now got Fazzi, who runs into 9th position, slightly over the curb there, but up to 9th position in nonetheless. And Ricardo Edelman also had a look into the final corner. So these 2 Redshift Racing Nissans are working together here to get up the order. And now the number 33 there of Ricardo Edelman has actually made his way past the BMW Samuel Fuller. Of course, the BMW is expected to struggle through this circuit. A slower straight line speed has the acceleration and the handling, but these straights really do dominate this layout here at the Red Bull Ring. And now he's got the 2 Canon liveried McLaren 650Ss of the Priority 1 Motorsport drivers. We've got Jonas Hillett in front of Marco Reicher, but this is now an 8 or 9 car battle for what is now at 7th position.
Just as you were talking then, Jeffrey Tassamar got past, I do believe it was Volkanik, into turn 2. So now it's the Redshift racing cars behind the FinnSport racing team.
Yes, FinnTeam in first.
FinnTeam, sorry.
No worries. FinnTeam are in 1st and 8th position at the moment. We've got 8.6 seconds from Thomas Tartler to Jake Cooper, and then we've got a further 5 seconds back to Robert Wiesemuller and Kevrikedis, but we saw Cooper setting the fastest lap of the race, 1:29.4, so possibly still may have the race pace here, but you'd think at this stage, 1/6 of the way through this race, that Thomas Tartler really is in control. Further back we have battles going on between Jeffrey Tassenoir and Volkanig, Bazzi and Edelman sticking together there in the Redshift racing cars. We've then got the two Priority 1 Motorsport McLarens of Jonas Hillert and Marco Weitscher. As we see Vergatos making a move on the outside there, power of the miss and allowing him to draw alongside. He may be looking for the cutback manoeuvre, and we've got Volkanig is around at turn 2, so he's going to drop to the back of that group, and the other drivers having to repay their positions to another driver if they overtook in that zone. Of course, the yellow flags were out. We've still got side by side there between Vergatos and Weitscher, and Weitscher does drop behind Vergatos, so Vergatos now up to 12th position.
Interesting to see what happened to Volkanig there. I didn't quite catch it, I just got the end, same as you, so possibly contact on the exit of that corner, or maybe you just spun it on the curbs. It seems we've got another car off in the grass, that is Nick Wheeler on the inside.
Yeah, it looks like Nick Wheeler not having the best of races now and decided to pull onto the grass to allow other drivers through. So he is not having the best of races, but Jake Cooper once again setting the fastest lap of the race, 1:29.3 this time around, so he's gone 2 tenths quicker than his previous fastest lap, and he's cut that gap to under 8 seconds, so it's a possibility he's got the race pace to catch Tartler.
Definitely, but would you say that Tartler's just relaxing now, managing the gap?
That is a very high possibility. We've seen Tartler being able to manage gaps and also close and extend gaps, so pretty much at will, so it's possible that he is just relaxing into the rhythm and relaxing into his race, perhaps protecting the tyres here for it if he needs them later on. But at the moment, Cooper is really closing in, and we've got a battle between P11 and P12 now.
Seems to be the two Priority 1 racing cars going on it, coming into turn 3. Marco Weitscher looking to make a move on his teammate Jonas Hillert, but he thinks better of it, and he go into the corner.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to stay line astern at the moment between the two cars, and a little gap has opened up in front of them between a number of drivers there. Fuller leading that next group along with Edelman and Vergatos. So Samuel Fuller making his way back through that gaggle of cars, and it now looks like Edelman's going to get on the curbs. He's going to slide around. It looks like Vergatos is going to take advantage of that. They're going to run too wide into the very fast right-hander there at turn 9. And it's going to be Vergatos who's going to get back up into a top 10 position.
Seems like Vergatos made a mistake on the exit of the final corner and could see Edelman go past him now into the first turn.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go side by side once again into turn 1. Ricardo Edelman has the inside line, and you think the better line, but Vergatos is going to be given room by Edelman. Very close racing between them, but very fair. And now Vergatos is on the outside, the two Nissans side by side as they go up the hill into turn number 2. And Vergatos does make the move, but Edelman attempting to get through again. He moves the outside now in order to try and get the better line out of the corner, and they're going to run side by side up at the top of the circuit. Looks like it is going to be Ricardo Edelman who's going to have the inside line here at turn 3. Not quite able to make the move. Can he get the Can he get the exit speed though? No, he can't quite, and it's going to still be side by side as they go into the following left-hander. Edelman staying behind Vergatos for the moment and pushing Vergatos slightly, trying to force him into a mistake, but now coming through there, through the left-hander, through this right-hander, and the hill towards the final 2 corners, and Tassenoir now in 7th position. So Tassenoir, we saw him in the top 10 and he's now up into 7th position, so he's really made the most of the battle behind and has now broken away into 7th.
Interesting, while all this is happening, 7/10 separates car 3 and 4 as Weissmuller and Kevrikedis were very close on the final, that last lap. but the gap seems to have opened out after the first corner, so possibly a battle brewing with them two as the race goes on.
Yeah, we're now approaching a quarter distance already, and Kevrick is now closing in on Robert Wiesemuller there. Wiesemuller started 4th position, Kevrick started 3rd, so you'd think that Kevrick would have better pace, but of course qualifying pace is very different to race pace. A little bit of a slide as he exits and tries to get on the power out of turn 3, but when it's turn 5 and 6 it looks like he's going to be staying behind Wiesemuller for now, and the gap under a second, so you'd think he'd be able to get through here as they come towards the end of lap number 13.
Looks like Volkanik trying to go around the outside of Marco Weigter through turn 3. They're still side by side. And just behind them it is Giuseppe Aria in the 488 GTB Ferrari, who looks to make a move on the inside, but it did look like the car just got away from him then as he crossed over. So almost another spin for Aria there, but well held.
Yes, and Aria of course had that spin on the first lap, but he's been able to make up places, and he's now back into the point scoring position there, albeit 43 seconds behind the leader, but he's still got a number of cars in front of him. In fact, in only a number of 3 or 4 seconds off cars, he can get up into the top 10 now, as we see Samuel Fuller come under attack there again from Stelios Fivgatos to go down the front straight. Fivgatos not able to make a move into the turn 1, but possibly the straight line speed of the Nissan will allow him to draw alongside. The head towards turn 2, he's got very good drive out that corner. He's going to have to move to the outside there. Just Fuller defends the inside line very, very sensibly, and it looks like Fivgatos is going to get through even before the corner, so that Nissan straight line speed really helping out those drivers in this race.
Well, there seems to be contact between the two Priority 1 Priority 1 racing cars. Marco Weigter just giving the nudge to Hillett in turn 2, causing, I believe that was Volkanik, to go through and take the position off him, and it seems to have a good run down into the turn 3 going around the outside. And will he make it stick? No, he seems to have brushed him wide, and Hillett gets past Volkanik again, and the Priority 1 team are still 1 and 2 in the, well, 1 and 2 position wise, not in the race, because those positions belong to Cooper and Tartler.
Yes, and that gap is actually being brought down between the top 2. Tartler now just under 7 seconds ahead of Cooper, so he said about controlling the gap, but at the moment it looks like Cooper has the upper hand. He's approaching lap traffic there. That is Niemanen in front of him, but hopefully Niemanen will notice the 22 Copenhagen Apex Lamborghini of Jade Cooper and allow him through in the following straights. But at the moment it looks like Tartler is able to control that lead at the front, and 6.5 seconds is the current gap between them.
And Weigter is alongside Edelman coming in straight after the turn 1. Seems to have got a better drive out in the final corner. It looks like the Priority 1 Motorsport racing car of Jonas Hillett was about to go alongside until Edelman quite rudely shoved him off the track. Well, I wouldn't say shoved, but sort of said move out the way. My big GTR needs to go somewhere. And it looks like the McLarens will get past him, but obviously the raw power of the GTR stops any attack.
Yeah, it looks like the Nissan's going to be able to get the better of the Lamborghini, of the McLaren, sorry, but the McLaren on the inside there into the right-hander. Again, trying to get the speed out of the corner leads to a loss of traction for Ricardo Edelman, but at the moment he's holding station in 11th position, and Fivgatos has now got past Samuel Fuller and is now broken away by just over 2 seconds. So in clean air, that Nissan is very, very quick of Stelios Fivgatos. Of course, he got a 2nd position at the Nürburgring at the 2nd round of the season. It seems like ages ago now, but nonetheless, a brilliant result for the number 2 Stay Puft Racing Nissan, and he's now closing up behind a other Nissan of the Redshift Racing driver Enzo Fazi. But that gap is now under 1 second between the 2 drivers, so looks like Fivgatos does have the pace in order to get up into the top 8 positions, but Jake Cooper, currently in second position, has now closed the gap down to 6 seconds between himself and Tartler. A lot of lap traffic at the moment. He's just gone past the driver of Vasconcelos, Jose Vasconcelos, who is currently in 23rd position. And up until now, the top 20 drivers are on the lead lap. Octavia Cavion has just been overtaken by our leader, who crosses the line and goes on to lap number 17. So Tartler is still our leader, and at the moment it looks like he's able to stay there.
And it seems Marco Weigter has had a spin or possibly minor contact with his teammate just on turn 3. The Priority 1 Motorsport McLaren was off the track on the inside curb, so possibly trying to overtake the inside and might have gone wrong for him, but he's back on track and he's chasing down the pursuing pack. And it also seems like Volkanik got past both Priority 1 Motorsport cars, so maybe there was a bit of a tangle there and it caused quite a lot of loss in time.
Yeah, Volkanik taking advantage of those incidents and now up to 12th position, but he's still under pressure by the Priority 1 Motorsport driver of Jonas Hillert as they go into turn 1. Jonas Hillert is going to have the inside line. Can the cutback be achieved by the FinnTeam driver of Volkanik? Can't at the moment, but he's going to have to move to one side here as he drafts the McLaren down the straight, topping out into 6th gear now for Volkanik, up to 240 kilometers an hour. But he's going to have the outside line, and that's not going to be the better line, but he is able to make it move the tighter turn that Hillert had to achieve in order to get around that corner, not helping him, and Volkanik up to 12th position.
Close battles down the field include Octavia Camion and Abramov in the Gainsco McLaren. Seem to be running quite close through the first couple of corners, and it'll be quite a nice battle to watch further down the field in the later stages of the race.
Yeah, it looks like Octavia Cavion has got the better of Abramov as they go into turn number 2. Abramov getting on the power there in the Gainsco Racing McLaren, but up front we've got Jake Cooper, who's now 5.8 seconds behind Tartler, so closing all the time here in this race. And we're now going to be approaching the pit stop window, so when do you think is going to be the first opportunity for these drivers to possibly change over to a different set of tyres, top up with fuel and go to the end?
Well, you could stop early at round 20, 25 possibly, and try and do 35 laps on another set of tyres, or you do even sides and do 30-30, but I imagine it depends how comfortable the drivers do feel on the tyres they're on at the moment, or how short or long they fueled the car for this first run. Am I wrong in thinking the last race at Silverstone, Thomas Tattler didn't do a pit stop at all?
No, he did do a pit stop. He did come in very late though, so that's something we may be able to watch out for, is that Tartler will pit later on and then have a shorter fuel stint in the second one and shorter tyre stint in the second stint, so something to watch out for. And also a number of the Nissans went longer in the second stint in the first stint as well. Kevin Kennis also, who's currently running 4th in this race, went quite long on the first set of tyres, and unfortunately it didn't work out for him. But it's something we could watch out for in this race, is that drivers may go to maybe even 2/3, 3/4 distance before swapping onto the second set of tyres.
As we were talking, and Tobias Rona, I think, got past Francisco Lemme, so in the Sector 2 area of the track, a nice move around the outside, and he gained the position.
Yeah, so the Calsonic livery Talking Door Racing Nissan is now past Francisco Lemme. Francisco Lemme, of course, in the Team Oldman Racing Nissan, so Lemme running well in 17th position, but overtaken now by Tobias Rona, who really has had strong results in that car, and 5th and 6th positions in the races he has run, so you'd expect him to be higher up, but he's currently very close to a top 15 and therefore point scoring position. But further up we've got a very close battle here between Enzo Farsi and Samuel Fuller. Fuller now into 10th position behind Farsi, and it looks like the Nissan is going to have the best straight line speed, of course, but that BMW, when it runs on its own, it's going to have really good handling and be able to carry that corner speed onto the straight. So I think this could be a really interesting battle.
Yeah, the BMW is probably the oldest model racing currently in this series. The Audi R8 was added in the first Dream Pack, and the BM has been here for, I'd say probably, it has been here since the start of the game, hasn't it?
Yes, it was included in the base game, so it has been here the longest, but of course the cars have now been updated to the latest tyre model, which has made them very evenly matched, and we can see that because Thomas Tartler, who's in the Audi, has been quick, but Jake Cooper, who's just jumped into this Lamborghini, is as quick and even quicker as he closes the gap now down to 5.5 seconds as they approach 1/3 race distance. So now I think we're going to start to see the pit stops unfold, and possibly for Jake Cooper it's going to have to be an earlier stop this time round, because really been pushing on those tyres and possibly won't be able to take them as long as maybe Tartler will, who's been more controlling at the start, of course, and been able to push that gap out to 5.5, 6 seconds as it is now.
And just as you mentioned that, it seems Jake Cooper is in the pit lane now.
Yes, so Cooper making a very early stop there onto his second set of tyres, going 20 laps. So that may also explain why he was so quick, because he was running the lower fuel possibly in that first stint, and will go on to run a higher fuel level, but he's going to drop down the order in the process. Robert Wiesemuller, who's currently now in second position, goes through, as does Akis Kevrakedis. So that battle is still going on between those two drivers.
Jake Cooper leaves the pit lane. It seems he might filter out round about 7th or 8th position.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be in some clean air as well, as Jeffrey Tassenwar is the driver in front of him, but that's a few seconds up the road, and Fevgatos, who's the next driver on in positions behind him, is 4 seconds behind. We also have the driver of Simon Marshall in between them, but he is a lap car and will get overtaken in a few laps time, I would think, by Stelios Fevgatos. But Tartler not yet pitting, and I think he may respond to Jake Cooper's strategy and possibly try and mirror it so Jake Cooper doesn't gain the undercut.
I'm not too. I don't really know actually, because at Monza, if I remember correctly, the FinnTeam cars went quite deep into the race. I think it was around about 3/4 distance in the race they actually pitted, and there was a GTR that left it even later. So I don't think he hasn't shown his hand yet. So he might cover the undercut, but I think 5 seconds, or it was 6 seconds, I believe, the gap between Cooper and Tartler. I think the undercut might bring that down, but I don't think it'll bring it down enough to challenge for the lead. However, if Tartler hits traffic, it could possibly swing the race in Cooper's favour.
Yeah, traffic's going to be a big issue, I think, for the top drivers. Of course, we've already had up to 19th position go a lap down or further. We've now got 3 drivers out of the race as well. Nick Wheeler, of course, who we saw going slowly, Erhan Jajovski, and also Straforos as well, who failed to get off the line. But at the moment, it's Tartler who is leading by 25 seconds with Robert Wiesemuller, so he's no challenge from behind. So perhaps you'd think that it'd be better for him to go and continue with this pace that he's obviously got at the moment and continue how he is.
Seems, as we were talking about back markers, that Kevrakedis run into a bit of problems with the Abramov. You stuck behind him for about 4 or 5 corners, flashing the lights, and Abramov wouldn't let him past on the straight nor the corner. He finally does let him through mid-sector 2, and he chases down past, well, he chases back up to, I believe that Wiesemuller, but he lost 5 seconds during that lap due to traffic. So traffic is a big issue, and we could be possibly in for a great end to the race if it does play into it.
Yes, and it did play into it at the previous round at Silverstone as well. We saw one of the Z4s get into contact with Thomas Tartler on the final lap. He has to do an immediate 360-degree spin in order to get up into the position again. And we've got Jake Cooper has had a spin at the final corner. He's now dropped back to 8th position. So Cooper making mistakes now on those new set of tyres. It looks like I'm hearing from our cameraman that it was traffic that was the issue for Jake Cooper there. So getting involved in that traffic and maybe making a move where possibly it wasn't able to make it, but Jake Cooper up into 8th place now, and he's now 50 seconds behind Thomas Tartler. So pit stop we've seen around 30 seconds, so that may really give Tartler the win here, because seeing that he's got 25 seconds to the following driver, and with that you'd think he's going to have around 10 or 15 seconds as well to Jake Cooper once he completes his pit stop.
Really unfortunate that traffic is a factor, but we were hoping for a close race, but it seems like Tartler again controlling the place, being conservative in the first stint, and just extending his gap at the front until Cooper obviously got clean air and started hunting him down. But I think Tartler knew that he had the gap in hand and he could cruise for a while before his pit stop, and now he's just sort of sifting through traffic and doing the race he needs to do in order to win this championship.
Yes, and of course FinnTeam already closed up the championship, but you'd think with this pace he's going to be on to win number 4 here, and you'd think that would definitely be the case after that incident there between Jake Cooper and one of the back markers. But in 9th position now is Samuel Fuller, who's got past Enzo Farsi into the final corner. Farsi looking alongside the pit wall there to get back past Samuel Fuller. Samuel Fuller being very offensive, trying to keep that position. He's going to run round the outside of Enzo Farsi, and he's actually going to stay alongside as they exit turn number 1. But it looks like the power of that Nissan is going to make it really difficult for Samuel Fuller. And once again, the BMW Z4 struggling on the straights and not able to do anything about the Nissan.
Yes, that was absolutely great, clean racing by the two of them. Very reminiscent to Michael Schumacher and Barrichello in 2010 when he closed them up against the pit wall. Obviously not as violent or as quick, but great clean racing by the two drivers in the GTR and the BM.
Yeah, and the Z4 now making a move down into the inside at turn number 3. Better on the brakes, and Fuller able to make that move, but the undercut is going to be achieved by Farsi, and he's now going to move back up to 9th position, though Fuller will have the inside. And this is the battle that Fuller has, is that he's got to get through in this twisty section in order to stay ahead from the straight line speed, but it's going to be still side by side between the two of them. This is awesome racing here, and Fuller now has the advantage over Enzo Farsi, but again Farsi is going to have the better straight line speed, but he's not going to be able to do anything about it there. But he's going to make the move into turn number 9, not quite able to do it there either. So Samuel Fuller keeping that 9th position so far.
Seems like what we've also noticed is the GTR possibly might have a bit of trouble putting the power down onto turn 3. Like, it really likes to light up the rear tyres and possibly get a bit sideways, so that's probably why Farsi did not get the exit he probably wanted. But it seems like Fuller went deep into turn 1 and Farsi is through, possibly as well as the Redshift Nissan goes through as well. So Samuel Fuller unfortunately losing 2 positions there on the first corner due to a mistake.
Yeah, both Redshift racing cars getting through there. It was Farsi who made the move up the inside into turn 1, and Fuller went wide, and that's allowed Ricardo Edelman through as well. So both Redshift racing cars now into the top 10, and not over for Samuel Fuller either, because he's got more troubles from behind from Volkanig and also Jonas Hillard, Marco Reicher and Giuseppe Iaria. So this is the battle for 9th position down to 15th, all in the space of 4 seconds. So throw a blanket over them all, and Volkanig now going to be challenging for that 11th position. So at the front we do have Thomas Talbot, who's leading this race at the moment. He is leading by 27 seconds from Visa Muller. Both of those are yet to make the pit stop, as is Akis Kevrakedis, who is in 3rd position at the moment. 4th position is to Chineski, who we've not really talked about in this race, but holding a strong position for Sky Speed Sports in 4th position there. And he is ahead of Pierre Cavillon. Then got Jeffrey Tassenmoor, who is just ahead of Jake Cooper, and then in 8th position is Stelios Furgatos. So Cooper, after that contact with the lap traffic, has now made his way back up into 7th position, so looking to make his way back through the field here, and he's now right behind Jeffrey Tassenmoor as they approach more lap traffic there. But behind that is Enzo Farsi and Ricardo Edelman in 9th and 10th positions. They're followed by Samuel Fuller, who goes around the outside of Jose Vasconcelos at turn 3. Then got Jonas Hillert, who's made his way past Christoph Volkenig into turn number 3. We've then got Giuseppe Aria, who's gone to 14th position past the other Priority 1 Motorsport car, Marco Vaicha, who looks for the inside into the second left-hander there in the middle sector, but not able to make the move stick.
I think this has been quite possibly the first time in the race we haven't seen the Priority 1 Motorsport McLarens flying in formation. There's 2 cars between them, which is a rare sight this race. They've been following each other very closely and picking up on people's mistakes and moving off the grid.
Yes, and that's really paid off for them, because they're now both in point scoring position. 12th position for Jonas Hillert, who's going to be looking for the inside of Samuel Fuller as they exit turn 1. The BMW Z4, of course, not having the straight line speed of the McLaren. The McLaren able to draw alongside as they head towards turn 2. And I think Samuel Fuller is now going to be getting frustrated about this factor that not able to have that straight line speed. And Volkenig now goes up the inside as Hillert tries to challenge around the outside. They're going to run side by side at the top of the circuit. And this is really great racing between what is 7 drivers. Oh, and Giuseppe Aria tried to make a move up the inside there. Not been able to make it stick, but he's also took Jonas Hillert out as well. Jonas Hillert reversing into the path of Jose Vasconcelos, who spins around as well. Vasconcelos trying to get the car going again. He does do eventually, but unfortunate there. Jonas Hillert's getting collected in that incident with Giuseppe Aria, who tried to make a move on Christoph Volkenig, but we'll have to see what the stewards say about that. But from my perspective, Aria was just too hot on the brakes and collected Hillert in the process.
Yeah, I was about to mention how good Volkenig was doing on the brakes, making some late braking dives around the outside, and then all of a sudden the Aria comes out of nowhere. But just ahead of this battle, it seems like Fuller and Farsi is happening again at the first turn. Quite a lot have happened at the first turn actually. Volkenig is getting past the Priority 1 Motorsport McLaren, but he's been forced on the grass by a back marker. Still side by side with the back marker, and he's gone past him. It seems like Farsi is going to try and go around the outside of Samuel Fuller, but Fuller blocks to the inside. Is Farsi going to get the cut back? No. But the power of the GTR will help him down the straight as opposed to the BM.
Yeah, you'd think that the GTR would be able to draw alongside the BMW Z4, and indeed he is as they go into turn 3. But Fuller once again very strong on the brakes. Can the Nissan get the power down this time? No, he can't, and in fact this time he's not even able to get alongside as Fuller defends furiously into the next left-hander. Keep that inside line for the next left-hander. He's going to bend the inside of the corner as well. Sideways goes the number 7 of Enzo Farsi, and he's now got Volkenig all over the back of him as well.
Farsi runs wide through Rint corner, and it seems Volkenig gets through. It does seem to be quite a loose setup on that Nissan GTR, possibly trying to get the most out of its top speed down the straights, which would explain how fast it goes past some of these cars. But he is going to fight back against Volkenig, and will he get the place back? does seem like he will, but Volcanic hanging around the outside to get a good drive of the corner and head into turn 2 side by side with the GTR.
Yeah, they're going to run side by side up the hill, and looks like Marko Vojtje is a stander by here and sees what's going on. He's going to go to the inside here, but in front of him he's going to watch the battle between Volcanic and Farsi, and it's going to be Volcanic who's going to get the best exit out of the corner. Of course, we've seen that Nissan have the looser rear end of all the cars here today, and really not helping him out of the corner. But on the straights, by the time they get to the next corner, Volcanic is really struggling and now going to go behind Enzo Farsi again. And we've now got drivers making a pit stop here. Tobias Rona is one of them. He exits the pit lane in 18th position. We also saw other drivers making pit stops, such as Abramov, and earlier as well we saw the second of the Priority 1 Motorsport cars of Jonas Hillert making a pit stop as well after his incident with Giuseppe Aria deciding to come into the pit lane. And we've now got other drivers in the pit lane as well. So 2 drivers in the pit lane at the moment. Chinesky is one of them and Octavia Cavion is the other one. So 2 drivers in the pit lane at the current stage. But now we've got Samuel Fuller, who is now in 9th position, of course, and behind him is Volcanic, as we have Enzo Farsi making his pit stop as well. So Farsi deciding to pit out of that battle, and to me that seems like a very sensible option. Tartler also comes into the lane, so this is now where we're seeing a lot of drivers making pit stops.
We are at the halfway point in the race, lap 31. Tartler is at the end pit box, so we will stop and refill fuel and take some time. So
yeah, he's going to be stationary for around 30 seconds there, as coming beside him and unlapping himself is Enzo Farsi. He exits the pit lane into 17th position and is now around about 40 seconds behind Samuel Fuller, who he was battling with prior to the pit stop. So that is going to be the gap he's going to be looking at, and Fuller's going to be looking at, and possibly making a pit stop immediately to respond to that, as we also have Robert Wieselmuller into pit lane and Pierre Cavion as well. So a number of drivers making pit stops here and reacting to that halfway point.
Thomas Tartler comes out still in the lead, 4/10 ahead of Kevrakadis in the GTR. He runs wide though with the cold tyres. He will keep the position though, or will the GTR get past him on the straight? It looks possibly like Tartler will keep the position, but it did seem like Tartler had a 30-second gap just before the pit stops, and we possibly be on for a full 60 laps led by Thomas Tartler in this race, a convincing victory. Will this seal the championship for him if he does win?
FinnTeam have already secured the championship. As for Drivers' Championship, we do not keep track of it fully, but Thomas Tartler, I would imagine, is at the top of that after his 3 wins. But you'd think in this race he's going to get a 4th one, but he's 8 seconds ahead of Jake Cooper. So Cooper only lost 2.5 seconds throughout the whole change there, because we've had about 15 laps between Cooper pitting and Tartler pitting. So Cooper, of course, had that incident with the back marker, but it looks like he's been able to make up positions again, as we have drivers pitting now, as Enzo Farsi makes his way back up to 14th position. Marko Vojtje and Giuseppe Aria exiting the pit lane in 15th and 16th position. Tobias Rona looks like he's going to use the speed of the Nissan to get up to 15th position now, as he goes past Marko Vojtje into turn 2.
Behind him, Hillert and Iaria battling again, and Hillert turns into turn 2, closing off Iaria, making contact again. Hillert runs wide and Iaria goes past on the straight. This could not be over though. These two have come together once before this race, and again, 3rd time lucky into this turn 3 corner.
Yeah, it looks like Hillert's going to make a move down into that turn 3. Iaria is closing the door though, just about staying ahead, chopping the nose off the front of the McLaren as he turn into the right-hander. We've now got Ricardo Edelman into the pit lane, so he is the next of the Nissans to make a pit stop, and he was around Samuel Fuller, so you'd think that he would come out near Samuel Fuller, of course, but currently in 10th position, in 11th position now, as Samuel Fuller goes around turn 9 and turn 10. But at the front, we do have Thomas Tartler, who's now extended his lead to 3 seconds from Akis Kevrakidis, of course, who is yet to make his pit stop. So Kevrakidis possibly going a lot longer than a number of other drivers. In fact, he's pitting now. So Kevrakidis pitting for second place and got around 30 seconds to Robert Wiesemuller. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out in third position. Robert Wiesemuller now coming round to complete his lap number 32 there and go on to lap number 33 as Kevrakidis pulls out of the pit box, and it looks like Robert Wiesemuller is going to get back into third position in the Lamborghini. Kevrakidis is going to drop back into fourth position. So the order as it stands here, after the majority of drivers have made their pit stops, is Thomas Tartler leads from Jake Cooper, 7.5 seconds between them. 34 seconds back from Tartler is Robert Wiesemuller, who's a full 7 seconds ahead of Akis Kevrakidis. Volkanik, who is yet to make his pit stop, as is up into 5th position, whereas Pierre Cavillon, who's been very, very quick in this race, is in 6th position. But after the pit stops, we'd expect him to go back up to 5th place, as is the case with Shineski, who we expect to go back into 6th position. 8th position at the moment is Jeffrey Tasmoir, who is ahead of Stelios Fevgatos. Francisco Lemmy is into 10th position there, ahead of Sean Butters and Ricardo Edelman. Sean Butters and Ricardo and Francisco Lemmy yet to make their pit stop. It looks like Ricardo Edelman is now actually going to mount a challenge on Sean Butters as he head up the hill into turn number 2. And he's on the inside there, and you think it's going to be an easy move up into 11th place for Ricardo Edelman. And yes, the power of the Nissan helping him draw ahead of the McLaren. Behind that is other of the Redshift racing cars of Enzo Farsi. He's in 13th position, ahead of Samuel Fuller, who's in 14th. Tobias Rona currently rounds out the point scoring position, but a number of drivers still yet to make the pit stops, and we've got a driver now making a pit stop. That's Volkanik, who's pitting from 5th position, so we'd expect him to come around about Samuel Fuller, so around 40 seconds in the pit lane. He comes to the end of the pit lane where his pit box is situated for the FinnTeam, and we're going to see him stationary for around 30 to 40 seconds.
It'll be very interesting to see if Volkanik has jumped. Oh, we've got a car going in the opposite direction, off ring corner. I think that was Octavia Cavillon, it was. But it will be interesting to see if Volkanik can jump the two Priority 1 Motorsport McLarens as they go side by side. I think that's Thomas Tartler going side by side, putting a lap down on Marco Weigter. Two FinnTeam cars now side by side on the first straight after turn 1. But it does seem like Volkanik did get the jump on Marco Weigter.
Yeah, it looks like he's got the jump on Marco Weigter, Giuseppe Aria and Jonas Hillett, but he's not got the jump on Samuel Fuller and Tobias Rona, both of who have also made their pit stops. So you'd think that Tobias Rona and Samuel Fuller will be very happy about that, but Volkanik is now under pressure from Marco Weigter as they head down into turn 3. Weigter very, very far on the inside there, and I think that wouldn't help his exit speed. It hasn't indeed, because Giuseppe Aria is now right behind Weigter as he heads towards the next left-hander.
Yeah, of course, the more Weigter and the Aria battle, Hillett can catch up, and obviously Hillett has got unfinished business with the Aria, as we've seen twice this race, with Hillett and the Aria coming into contact at turn 2 and turn 3. Would you expect the stewards to be dismissive of the incidents?
I definitely expect them to look into it. I think that from what I saw, it was just a late braking effort from the Aria that really didn't work, or perhaps he missed his braking zone unsighted by the Audi in front of him. But Jonas Hillett definitely won't be happy about it, and he's going to be wanted to challenge again, as his teammate and Iaria are also battling, so going to be wanting to get back up and get back into a point scoring position primarily. He's currently in 17th position as Iaria moves alongside Marco Vaicha.
Tobias Rona going and having a look down the inside of Samuel Fuller into turn 3. Both drivers alongside the BMW seems to be better on the brakes, but the GTR does get past them. Tobias Rona is into 12th place.
But Tobias Rona moving back up the order into 12th position there, ahead of Samuel Fuller. Right behind them is the leader, in fact, Thomas Tartler, so shows how quick his pace has been throughout this race, and Volkanig is the next car along behind that in the order behind Fuller and Rona, so Volkanig into 14th position in the area, now into 15th after making that move on Marco Vaicha, but a battle that's very close at the moment is between Jeffrey Tassenwar and Stelios Fovgatos for 7th and 8th position. Just half a second between them, and both in identical Nissans of course, but setup could play a part as they approach 2/3 race distance, and I think Fovgatos will be wanting to make a move sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we've seen Fovgatos charge through the field early in this race before pit stops, and seems to have a really fast car underneath him, so we could possibly see a battle between Tassenwar and Fovgatos, but when it comes down to it, I think Fovgatos has the better setup at the moment, but Tassenwar could put up a good fight.
Yeah, Tassenwar, we've seen how strong he can be in the previous rounds, as has Fovgatos also, with a number of good results, all within the top 10 apart from the first round where he failed to finish, but after that he's been very, very consistent, so you think Fovgatos would be very, very strong, as we've got a battle for 15, 16 and 17 now.
Seems as Iaria has made a mistake, or something has happened during that lap. He's dropped behind both Priority 1 Motorsport cars, including Hillett, and he is actually quite far behind, about 10 seconds now, the gap between Priority 1 Motorsport cars and Iaria, so I didn't quite catch what happened there, so apologies, but it does seem like Iaria is not having the greatest race this week.
No, he's had strong results in the past, but especially at round 1 where he achieved a strong position there, which was a 8th position, but after that he's not quite been so strong because he had the accident at the end of lap 1 with a Nissan at the Nürburgring, and then he disconnected at Brands Hatch. Then Lorenzo Bonda, who we all know as our fellow commentator, took over the car at Silverstone and managed a brilliant 14th position with the car despite not having the best of races, so he managed to scramble together a number of points for the team, and now Iaria has returned into the car, and it doesn't look like he's suited too well to this circuit and this car. So our second place driver Jake Cooper now coming up on a lot of traffic here in front of him. We've got the 2 Priority 1 Motorsport cars, as well as other drivers, Samuel Fuller, Tobias Rona and Enzo Fazi. So Cooper into second position. He's 9 seconds behind Tartler at the moment, but a lot of lap traffic to get through, and we've seen earlier on how Cooper was involved in that lap traffic and got into an incident with it as well just after his pit stop, so Cooper will be, you'd think, more careful and possibly want the lap traffic to get out of the way now as the Priority 1 Motorsport car of Jonas Hillett comes up the hill, moves to the inside there of Jonas Hillett and make the move into Rind Curve, and he's now past the Priority 1 Motorsport car of Jonas Hillett. So our leader then, as they approach 2/3 race distance, is Thomas Tartler, who leads from Jake Cooper. 3rd position is Robert Wiesemuller from Akis Kevrakedis. 5th position is Pierre Cavillon, and then now up into 6th position is Jeffrey Tassenmoir, as we saw the driver of Chinesky making a mistake, and Chinesky is now back into 8th position as he falls behind Stelios Vivgatos also. So Vivgatos now up into 7th position as they exit turn 10. Chinesky making a mistake at the end of the middle sector that caused the 2 drivers behind him to overtake, and you can see there on that lap 3 seconds slower than the drivers in front of him. So mistake there was made by Chinesky, but overall he's having a brilliant race for Sky Speed Sports drivers who previous to this haven't scored any points. So looking for a good top 10 position for Chinesky despite being making a mistake on that lap. Into 9th position is Francisco Lemmy, and 10th position now is Ricardo Edelman, and right behind him is our race leader, in fact, Thomas Tartler, so he's going to be wanting to get through. But the 2 Redshift Racing Nissans are running 10th and 11th place. Of course, we saw them get a brilliant result in the previous race with Dennis Lind, of course, who is this year's Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe champion. So the privilege to see such a talented driver driving a virtual car, and he said how much he enjoyed it and how difficult it was, in fact. So you'll definitely probably see him return later on in the series. But up into 11th place now is Enzo Farzi, 12th position is Tobias Rona, 13th is Samuel Fuller, 14th is Volkanig, and 15th is Marco Voce, but he's under pressure from his teammate Jonas Hillert.
Interesting. Has Francesco Lemme pitted?
I don't believe he has yet. However, possible we could see him pitting very soon. We wouldn't expect him to be able to go much more than 40 laps, and I've not seen him pit yet, so it's probable that he hasn't, but possibly going later on into this race with the Nissan. And we've now got a ferocious battle going on between Jeffrey Tassenmoir and Stelios Vivgatos as they go down into turn 3. Vivgatos not able to make a move on Jeffrey Tassenmoir as they go into the corner, but Vivgatos has closed up that gap since they overtook Chinesky a few laps ago, so not able to make a move at the moment, but currently right behind Jeffrey Tassenmoir and hoping to get up into that 6th position, shadowing the fellow Nissan as they go through the left-hander there and approach the end of lap number 40. We've now got into the last third of this race, and it looks like Thomas Tartler is going to be the driving force in this race, but do you think that Jake Cooper could have a late surge and catch up that 10 seconds, or do you think that traffic is going to have an effect?
And Jeffrey Tassenmoir has just spun in the final corner. He seems to have got going again and is back onto the main straight. But as just getting back to what you were saying, I think Tartler has enough in hand to hold off Cooper if he does make a late charge. So we might not be seeing a battle for the lead, but we're definitely seeing battles in the mid-pack.
Yes, and it looked like a mistake into turn 9 and 10 that cost Tassenmoir that 6th position. So Vivgatos is now up into that 6th position, and Chinesky must have made another mistake because he's way behind Tassenmoir now, despite only being a few seconds behind a couple of laps ago. So not able to make his way up into 7th position at the moment, but Chinesky into 8th position at the moment, and it's good result from Sky Speed Sports because they've previously not scored any points in the team's championship.
And as we approach lap 43 of this race, we'd just like to thank everyone out there that's watching, all 209 of you, on twitch.com. And we'd also like to especially thank Spectre76 for the donation during this stream. Thanks very much, and we hope everyone out there is enjoying the racing on show today.
Yes, very much enjoying the racing as well. We are in the commentary booth as we see Jake Cooper make a second pit stop in the Lamborghini, so he's gone now down into 3rd position. So perhaps that's why he pitted so early, is that he wanted to try the 2-stop strategy and see if that would work. But at the moment you'd think that maybe being 10 seconds behind anyway, he thought possibly best to try and challenge for the fastest lap point, which is 1 point, of course.
It seems like Jake Cooper might have made a mistake here, because he is behind Weissmuller and is coming under pressure from Kevrikedis. So possibly a mistake there by Jake Cooper to fall back, especially about 40 seconds he's lost in that time. So I think we just missed that then.
Yeah, in the pit lane he's lost around 30 seconds, so just a small amount of fuel he's probably had to put in the car, maybe a new set of tyres, but you think on that set of tyres he will be quick, so it's possibly could still catch Robert Wiesemuller, but he's probably not done his chance of getting the win any good, because you'd think even if Tartler made a mistake, we've seen how much lap traffic can interfere with those at the front, and he could have been challenging for the win even though it wasn't apparent on circuit, but he's now back into third position and able to hold off Kevrikedis for now, but got 4.5 seconds to catch until he gets to Robert Wiesemuller, so definitely a mistake there by Cooper to pit twice in this race.
I think the race for Cooper though might have been over at the first corner. He was second on the grid and he has just lost out on the first lap. Fell back to, I think it was about 7th position, fought his way back up to second, but by the time he got back to second, Tartler was already 10 seconds down the road. I think if they would have went into turn 1, maybe 1 second between them, we would have seen a closer battle and possibly a battle for the lead throughout this entire race. So it is unfortunate to see what happens on the first lap, especially to Iari as well, who spun on the first turn, but it's racing and these drivers know what happens.
Yeah, Cooper maybe thinking that he didn't have a chance, but possibly may have had a chance had Tartler made a mistake, but as it stands now he's just under 4 seconds behind behind Cooper, as we've now got a big battle between 9th, 10th and 11th position, as Edelman gets ahead of Francisco Lemmy and Fazi is going to move alongside as well, so we've got four battling Nissans here in this group. Fazi moving to the inside there and will get in front of Lemmy, and Tobias Rohn is also going to take advantage of that and get up into 11th position.
Bit of a wobble there by Fazi as he exits the corner. It seems like Lemmy is going to try and get past around the outside and Fazi will drop to the back of the pack. So it seems like just getting the power down, as seen before with Fazi, it seems he might be running quite a low downforce package on the rear wing of that GTR. So it is interesting to see the difference in setups with these drivers. We can see it, and it's been evident with the GTR sliding around a bit more than any of the other cars. I'd say probably the most balanced car out there would be the BMW. It can get off the corners great in the hands of Samuel Fuller, and it can brake quite late into the corners as well. So during the straight, when the GTR will inevitably catch up to it, it can fend off into the corners with the driver of Samuel Fuller at the wheel.
Yeah, and we see Samuel Fuller being pretty much the only driver who can make that Z4 work for him. Not quite in this race, but you'd probably expect that with these longer straights, not making the life in the Z4 easy for him. But his previous results there of 9th, 8th, 6th and 10th position in the first 4 rounds have really been very, very commendable for the British driver, but currently in 14th position, so he's only a few seconds down the road from Volkanig, so it's possibly he could get up to 13th position come the end of the race. But as you said, it's interesting to see the difference between the setups, especially even just in the Nissan. You know, Tobias Rohn very smooth and very gentle on the power exits in the corner, whereas Fazi perhaps a little bit more eager, and the rear end of the car stepping out as he exits the low traction zones of turn 2 and turn 3.
Few seconds now separate Jake Cooper and Wiesemuller as they head down to turn 2. Probably around lap 48 or 49 we might see Jake Cooper on the tail of the green Lamborghini, and hopefully a last 10 lap battle between the two of them as we come to the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, and Cooper, of course, will be wanting to get through into that second position that he lost due to pitting again. But possibly Wiesemuller will have the easier job defending from Cooper, but it's going to be 10 laps approximately, that, judging by the pace of of Cooper that he's going to have to hold off the other Lamborghini for. So it's going to be a tall ask for Wiesemuller, but if anyone can do it, I think Robert Wiesemuller can do it, because he's a very, very quick driver, as are all the drivers in this top 10. But we're approaching the final quarter of this race. In fact, we're into the final quarter of this race, and Thomas Tasler has a 45-second lead.
And Francisco Lemmy has just come into the pit lane and is now doing his mandatory stop on lap 46. So quite a long first stint by Lemmy, and he will now probably cycle out about 21st. An interesting battle to keep an eye on is Iaria and Hillett. Definitely unfinished business there. Iaria behind the Priority 1 Motorsport McLaren on lap 46. Two of them have come together twice tonight. We possibly see it a third time in the last couple of laps when they both get a bit desperate for position.
Yeah, Iaria very close to Hillett as they exit turn number 3 again. Ferrari getting sideways out of the corner, but not able to do anything this time round. Going on the edge of the circuit there as he tries to get the most speed possible through the next left-hander. But Iaria looking for that 15th position as well, which of course is the last point scoring position, so he'll be even more desperate because of that.
And as things hot up between Hillett and Iaria, at the front Weissmuller and Cooper are within a second of each other now as they approach traffic coming into Rint corner.
Yeah, it looks like Cooper has been able to close up that battle now, even before lap number 50 as you predicted, but really showing the pace of Cooper on those newer, fresher tyres. Of course, Wiesemuller's been on that set for 15, 16 laps now, so definitely past their best as they exit turn 10 and go on to lap number 48.
A little duck out the slipstream at the end of the straight lets Weissmuller know Cooper's there and possibly will go for the overtake from the straight. Not great that there's a back marker in front of them, that could hinder his progress, but I'm sure he will wait until the second straight now, coming off turn 2 to make a move on Weissmuller.
Yeah, both drivers making the move up past the lap traffic into turn number 2, so they can resume their battle once again. And there's also a battle going on for 9th and 10th position between Tobias Rona, who's now really closed up on Ricardo Edelman as they go into turn number 9. On the outside is Tobias Rona as he goes round the outside of Ricardo Edelman. Still side by side is going to be Tobias Rona, who's going to have to yield that position to Edelman. Not able to make the move this time round, but he's going to be in the slipstream, go down the straight. He's going to go to the inside here into turn number 1. Can he make the move? Thick as they enter turn 1. Yes, he can. And he's just about been able to get ahead of Edelman. So 9th position now for Tobias Rona.
Oh, and there's contact between Weissmuller and Cooper there, just coming up to Rink corner. He tried to go around the outside of the chicane and he cuts back onto the final corner and makes contact with the right rear tyre, and Cooper spins round and lets Kevrikedis through. Cooper is now down to 4th position. That is contact yet again with Cooper. I think he edged someone off the track quite earlier, so that could possibly be a steward's inquiry looking into that and a possible penalty.
Yeah, Cooper really needs to be careful at turn 10. Of course, that's where he came into contact with the lap car. Maybe a bit too optimistic there, perhaps trying to surprise Wiesemuller and make a move somewhere where a bit unordinary. Of course, turn 10, not the easiest place to make moves. Thick, and you'd think with 12 laps to go that'd be a bit of a silly move, considering that he can. He does still have time, and now he's 7 seconds behind Wiesemuller, and he's now into 4th position, so he's dropped down the order and he's lost time.
And possibly flat spotted the tyres.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility as well, which won't make his life easier either. You know, of course, had better tyre wear due to pitting twice in this race, but that's definitely not going to help him. And really, I don't think he's going to have any shot at 2nd position, perhaps 3rd position, if he can manage traffic well.
Tobias Rona trying to get a good exit off the first turn to defend from Enzo Farsi. Seems like he will try and make a move. Or will he not? No. Stays behind Tobias Rona, and just behind that group in the Audi R8 FinnTeam is Volkanik, who could possibly try and capitalise on the battling GTRs in front of him if they do make a mistake in the closing laps here, down to 10 laps remaining as Thomas Tatler crosses the line at the end of this lap.
Yeah, and we've now got battles further back as well, because Samuel Fuller is only just ahead of Marco Weitscher, and there's also the battle for P15 that we've got to watch out for in these last 10 laps between Jonas Hillert and Giuseppe Iaria. So these two drivers are battling for the final point scoring position, which could be very important at the end of the team's championship. Of course, more important for Priority 1, you'd have to say, as they are 8 points behind Flying Bollards at the moment. We're only 2 points ahead of Gainsco Racing, so extending their points over Gainsco Racing and possibly closing in on Flying Bollards would be something that would be very, very nice for them heading into the final round at Spa-Francorchamps. So the battle for 9th position continues between Ricardo Edelman, Tobias Rona, Enzo Fazi, and now Volkanik, who is on the back of that group. But at the moment it's Edelman who's got the better of Rona again. The exit turn number 2 and head up the hill. The Nissans, of course, better straight line speed, but that Audi of Volkanik, not slow as we've seen from Tartler and also the other drivers in FinnTeam. So interesting choice was made for FinnTeam to go with the Audi, but it seems like it's paid off, especially for Tartler. Volkanik, of course, a new driver to the Audi, so perhaps not as used to it, but
I'm very sorry to interrupt you there. There seems to be contact between Samuel Fuller and Marco Weitscher. Giuseppe Aria crashing into Weitscher as well. Hillert crashing into Fuller. It all seems to be happening at turn 3 between the 4 drivers. Aria trying to go around the outside of Hillert now, and it seems like Samuel Fuller might have got away with that. But it does appear that Marco Weitscher was the loser in that situation. He is down in 16th position. Didn't lose any more positions than Weitscher and than Iaria and Hillert, but those 3 battling on track, there was bound something to happen. So very unfortunate for Weitscher there, trying to make a move up the inside, and Fuller closing him off.
So Fuller up into 13th position now, of course, after that incident. 14th position is Jonas Hillert. 15th is Giuseppe Aria, who you have to say now he's got around a 15-second gap to Marco Weitscher, who gets very sideways as he goes down into the final corner. But you'd have to say that would give Giuseppe Aria and confirm his 1 point scoring position for 15th position, but is now given the opportunity to possibly make his way up to 13th position as well. So all win-win for Giuseppe Aria.
That's if it all keeps clean. Could possibly be more contact in store for us at the end of this race. Not the cleanest showing today, but some great racing and great battles nonetheless. As brings to mind Tobias Rona going side by side down the front pit straight, and I think it was turn 1 and turn 2 all the way up to turn 3. He was side by side. It was some great battling.
Yeah, we have seen some great racecraft from all these drivers at some point in this race, perhaps not by some other drivers at some points, but overall it's been very clean here. And now Jake Cooper, after that mistake, is under a second behind Kevin Kedis. In fact, he's just over a second, but Cooper has closed that gap down from 3 seconds, so possibly a podium still on for Jake Cooper, but that Nissan isn't going to be easy to pass.
And it looks like Iaria is closing up on Hillert to the final corner. Goes in quite deep, trying to get a cut back. Doesn't work for him, but could be into turn 1. He might try and make a dive, or possibly into turn 2 after he gets a good exit. But it does seem like Cooper is knocking on the door for a podium finish.
Yeah, he's closed that gap now to under a second in this lap. He's now 8 tenths behind Kevrakidis as he exits the danger spot for him throughout this race, it has to be said. They go on to the start and finish straight. He's only 7 tenths now behind Kevrakidis, and a much quicker lap on that time round, 8 tenths quicker than Kevrakidis. So it's going to be able to make a move out of turn 1 into turn 2. He's very close here they head up the hill, but at the moment Kevriket is able to keep that 3rd position. But it looks like Robert Wiesemuller is safe in 2nd position. Meanwhile, of course, they had contact with Jake Cooper, which wasn't his fault, as Cooper closes right in on Kevriket as the exit turn number 2. Run right behind the Nissan defending to the inside very late there, and Cooper almost making contact with Kevriket. He headed through the right-hander, but now he's going to be looking to challenge somewhere else and not making a move that time round, but still got 8 laps to go, so let's hope Cooper doesn't get too ambitious this time round as he approaches the latter stages of the lap. He's going to make a move inside there. Thinks better of it though, to back out of the move, and really Cooper I think needs to be more cautious here because he could lose even more time. Down to turn 9, he's going to make another move. This time it's going to work out for him though. Kevriket is getting very sideways, just holding together Nissan on those very worn tyres, and Cooper is now back up into 3rd position once again, but with 3 seconds to go until he can be on the back wheels of Wiesemuller.
And as all that was happening, it seems Tobias Rona got round Ricardo Edelman, but Ricardo Edelman's trying to go round the outside of turn 3. Can he hold it with the GTR? There's a tiny bit of contact, and it does seem like Tobias Rona has managed to keep the place. And he is into 9th position from, I would say, quite far off the top 10 for Tobias.
Yeah, he started quite low down in this race, but he's really shown some great racecraft in order to make up positions. He's now into 9th position at this stage in the race with just under 8 laps to go. And Cooper has now been able to really extend his lead over Kevriket. It's now up to nearly 2 seconds already, so Cooper under 3 seconds behind Wiesemuller as well. So it could be that towards the end of this race he's going to be able to challenge Wiesemuller again.
Another close battle on track again is between Iaria and Hillard. Them 2 drivers have been within a second of each other for the past probably about 8 laps now. Iaria just trying to pick his moment and trying to get past Hillard into 14th position. When it will come, we don't know. Hopefully soon, before the end of the race, we can get some good battling in down the mid-pack.
Yeah, and of course that last point scoring position that Iaria is sitting in is all very well, but it's only a solitary point that he's going to receive for that 15th position, so moving up to 14th will be in his best ambitions to get up into 14th and possibly even 13th if you can challenge Samuel Fuller towards the end of this race, who's been running very consistently other than a few mistakes. And Jonas Hillett now attacked by Iaria, and Iaria getting through into 14th position, and we now have Tobias Rona and Edelman making contact there, and the other driver is Enzo Farsi. Redshift Racing getting into the mix as well, as is the FinnTeam driver Volkanix. So Tobias Rona losing 3 positions there in the space of a matter of corners there, but now back into 12th position. In fact, he's making way back up to 11th position. He re-overtakes the FinnTeam Audi, and really that all started with the move that Edelman made up the inside of Rona.
While all that was happening, it seemed Giuseppe Iaria got past Hillett and is on the tail of Samuel Fuller. Them 2 drivers now going down the pit straight. Looks like Iaria might have got a better drive at the final corner than Fuller. Fuller is going defensive into turn 1, but Iaria trying to plug the nose of that Ferrari through on the inside. Doesn't happen. Tries to go round the outside of turn 1. Can he make it whilst being on the rumble strip? No, he can't, and it looks like Jonas Hillett will get a better exit out of turn 1 and be alongside the Ferrari for turn 2.
Very close between the two as they head towards turn 2. Iaria made that move at turn 2 on the previous lap while we were watching Tobias Rona, Enzo Farsi and Ricardo Edelman come into contact. But Iaria has been able to hold that 14th position from Jonas Hillett in the braking zone of turn number 2. So Iaria moving up to 14th position there, but further up the field we've got Jake Cooper is now just 4 tenths behind Robert Wiesemuller. So do you think he can make that move before the end of the race and make it cleanly?
Let's hope so. I mean, he's got 5 laps to do it, but so many battles going on at this moment in time, we don't really know to look at it. There's 3 GTRs and an Audi R8 battling over, I think, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th position, and then there's the Second place car trying to go around the outside on turn 3, and Cooper runs wide into the gravel trap. Weissmuller just pushing him out there. Clean racing, but can Cooper bounce back now and try and catch up to the back of Weissmuller and make a pass in these final 3 laps?
Yeah, he's right on the tail once again as they go through the next couple of corners, just under half a second, and you'd think he'd be able to close up again, but maybe needs to judge his moves slightly better, make a move out of a corner and then go up the inside into the following corner in order to get through. But at the moment he's not able to make a move into second position. Further back we've got Ricardo Edelman, who's now got ahead of his teammate Enzo Farsi. 11th place is Tobias Rona, and in 12th position is Christoph Volkanig, who is in 12th position at the moment, looking to capitalise on the moves that the drives in front of them are making. And Samuel Fuller also in the battle behind that, going very defensive from Giuseppe Aria and Jonas Hillert as they run towards turn number 3. And the Aria gets very sideways as they exit turn number 3. Fuller and Iaria in 13th and 14th for Hillert not able to capitalise on that move, but at the moment sitting in 15th position, of course, as Ricardo Edelman comes towards the final corner ahead of Enzo Farsi, Tobias Rona and Volkanig. 2 Redshift racing cars very close together as Cooper closes in on Wiesenmuller as well, so it's all action happening in these last 4 laps.
Looks like Volkanig's going to try and make a move on the inside of Tobias Rona. Tried this last time, but Tobias Rona outbraked him into the corner. Seems to be the same again. And yeah, Volkanig has to concede the place. And looks like Tobias Rona and Enzo Farsi might have a good run down from turn 1 to turn 2.
And again, we've got Jake Cooper off at the final corner, so not able to make moves. Stick in this race at the moment. He's right behind Wiesenmuller all the time, but little mistakes are all adding up and not able to do the job here that he's wanting to do, which is getting past Robert Wiesenmuller, of course. But coming towards the next right-hander, he's going to be looking to make a move, but not close enough this time around. He's 4 tenths behind, and we've got just 4 laps to go. And in fact, Thomas Tartle is going to make that 3 laps to go as he comes around the final corner with nearly a minute in hand over the rest of the field.
Both drivers now heading down to turn 3 side by side. Looks like Cooper might be getting a bit aggressive, almost trying to pit manoeuvre. Weissmuller there coming into turn 3. Cooper is aggressive on the brakes, tries to go around the outside quite deep into the corner. Looks to have the inside line for the next couple of corners though. Very strange driving from Cooper. It might have been desync on my part, but very strange. It looked like he did try and pit manoeuvre Weissmuller down the straight, which not great sportsmanship, but obviously it did look quite strange, so it might just have been on my end, so not pointing any fingers there.
Yeah, it looked similar on my end, I have to say, possibly misjudging where he was and hoping to move to the inside suddenly in order to put off Wiesenmuller, but he's made the move anyway, and he's now up into second position once again, so made 2 pit stops and is now up into second position again, so, and you'd think he'd be able to make a headway into the gap of Thomas Tartle, and not that he's going to have any effect at all, given that Tartle's lead is 57 seconds at the moment. So, but further back we have got still battles, and Enzo Farsi has dropped back to 12th position behind Volkanig and Rona, so big battle going on between 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th position. And also further behind that we also have Samuel Fuller, who's dropped back to 15th position. Iaria is now 13th ahead of Jonas Hillert. Fuller dropping back into 15th position there. Not sure when that happened. It probably happened when we were watching Cooper and Wiesenmuller, I would think, but Fuller making the mistake or getting into contact with another driver, and that put him back into 15th place.
And it's the final 2 laps of this race, and Tassenwatt is coming under pressure from Zarnecki in the 488 GTB as they head down to turn 2. It looks like he could be making a move on Jeffrey Tassenwatt in the Nissan GTR. They've closed, the black Ferrari has closed up quite a lot in these past couple of laps, so it's been interesting to see. whilst everyone else has been battling, it looks like we're getting some even more battles in the final couple of laps. So heading down to turn 3 now, Ferrari could have the edge on Nissan, the exit, but the Nissan's raw power keeps it ahead of the Ferrari as we come into turn 3 now.
Chinesky will be in the slipstream, but unable to do anything at the moment. He's going to make a late dive up the inside. Very, very, very optimistic for Chinesky, but it looks like he's made the move on Tassenmoir. Not sure if the stewards will agree with that. I have to say that looks out of control, and Tassenmoir immediately fights back and goes back up to 7th position, but he's got that position back. And what do you think about that move? Do you think it was too fierce from Chinesky's?
It was almost like watching touring cars, wasn't it? But I think he let him past. I think he might have realised the move might have been a bit too forceful, and possibly the repercussions from the steward's opinion if he did keep the place. So I think he just sort of let off the pedal and let him go past, but he seems to be making a move up the final corner. Could have happened again. But yeah, there seems to be quite an interesting battle now on the final lap of the race.
Yeah, we've got battles all the way through the field. It looks like Ricardo Edelman has made the most of that. 9th position is now way ahead of Tobias Rona. In fact, Tobias Rona is not going to make a move on these final 2 laps, it doesn't look like, but he's going to have Volkanik out right behind him. Goes very wide to a Rindt curve and into the final corner, but Volkanik currently in 11th place. But out front we have Thomas Tartler, who is coming towards the end of this race. He's been at the front since the start and has controlled this gap until Cooper pitted for the first time, and then Cooper had the mistake, of course, pitted again, and then had the mistake again. So that is what led to this race. But further back, we still have these battles going on, so we're going to be looking to see what happens as Chinesky is very close to Tassenmoir. Chinesky and Tassenmoir nose to tail as they come towards the end of their race. It's going to be the end of the race for them all, because Thomas Tartler, who won in Monza, who won at Brands Hatch, and who won at Silverstone, is going to come round to win again here for FinnTeam. 4th win in 4 attempts of trying for Thomas Tartler. He weaves along the start-finish straight, and he crosses the line to win here at the Red Bull Ring. We're going to see what happens with the 7th position battle. It looks like Chinesky is going to keep...
Tobias Rona is off into the gravel trap.
Tobias Rona off into the gravel trap on the final lap. It didn't see if there was contact, but it looks like he's going to be now down in 13th position. Jonas Hillert right behind him, but it was Chinesky who finished in 8th place, right behind Tassenmoir. 9th position, Ricardo Edelman is going to come through, and that's promoted Volkanik up to 10th position. Farsi getting very sideways on the curb as he exits the corner, but he's going to stay in 11th position, but a good showing by Farsi nonetheless. Iaria is going to be promoted up to 12th position after that, as Tobias Rona goes back to 13th position. 14th position for Jonas Hillert, and Samuel Fuller is going to get the last point scoring position as Jake Cooper exits the final corner and comes across the line in 2nd position, and Robert Wiesemuller is going to finish in 3rd position. So your order then at the end of the race is Tartler from Cooper, Wiesemuller, Kevrakedis, Cavion, Fevgartos, Chinesky, Rona, Iaria, Farsi, Edelman, Tassenmoir, Volkanik, Hillert and Fuller. That was an extraordinary last couple of laps.
Yeah, we definitely got to a bit of a lull, possibly in the late 30s and early 40s. But all of a sudden, the race exploded in the final 15 laps. We had battles all over the track. We had battles in the mid-pack, battles at the front. And it was just a really good action-packed race, and we hope everyone out there who was watching enjoyed it, and we hope the drivers enjoyed it. Possibly not the ones that made contact. There might be some strong opinions on whose fault that was. But we will try and get some interviews with the drivers at the end after this race.
Yes, we're going to try and speak to Tartler, Cooper and Wiesemuller after this race to see what they thought of this race. So hang on for a few minutes and we will definitely be getting to that. But who do you think was really strong in this race? Who surprised you, and who do you think missed out on opportunities?
I have to feel sorry for Tobias Rona. He'd done such a great race to fight into the top 10, and then all of a sudden on the final lap it all went wrong. But it was a great race from him, fighting from, I think about, was it 18th or 19th on the grid? I'm not too sure. A great battle back by Cooper many times after spinning, losing a couple of positions on that first lap. almost Hamilton-esque, with the comeback into second position. And it was a great battle between Hillett and Iaria, and especially Iaria, who finished, I think it was 12th. It was on the cusp of 16th quite late on in the race, so he made up 4 positions in the final couple of laps, and he also had the first corner spin. So it was a great showing by Iaria to finish in 12th.
Yeah, great result from Iaria considering what he went through in that race, but also a shout out to the Redshift Racing drivers of Farsi and Edelman, who stayed together throughout the majority of the race, and did the Priority 1 Motorsport drivers of Jonas Hillett and Marco Weitscher as well. So we had a number of drivers who stayed together in that race, and that paid off for them, especially Hillett, of course, who finished in 14th position, and also Edelman and Farsi, who managed to get top 10 positions. So we will be getting the top 3 into our area in order to interview them soon enough, but we hope you enjoyed this race. We, of course, do join us again in 2 weeks' time at Spa-Francorchamps, where we will be looking at the final round and possibly some racing that will see a lot of drivers not having to fight for championships and possibly making very, very exciting racing. Because Spa-Francorchamps, one of the world's greatest circuits, it has to be said, and will be the longest circuit with visitors as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the cars handle then. But in this race, we've seen new drivers come through and really shocked the field. Robert Wiesel had a very consistent race to come across in 3rd position for the STR racing team. And Jake Cooper also had a great result to get to 2nd place despite his incidents. Kevin Kedis, of course, had another excellent race. Of course, he had some brilliant results at the start of the season, but unable to do the same in the mid-pack and in the middle of the season. But again, for 4th position here, Cavion, it has to be said, a very good result from himself. An incredibly consistent performance there, and I believe that is his first points he's scored in this championship. And correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe it is a great showing by himself as well. So an awesome race. In fact, no, for some consistent results. 7th place at Monza and 7th place at the Nürburgring. So some brilliant results there. But overall, do you think it was a good race?
I think it was an excellent race. We had, as I said before, there was a bit of a lull during the mid-race, but first couple of laps brilliant, and the final couple of laps were absolutely intense racing, and it was a great show that the drivers put on for us today. And we hope everyone out there who was watching on Twitch, everyone who followed, we hope you enjoyed the race too, and thanks for participating in the chat as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us who did. So we apologise. It looked like we're not going to be able to get the drivers in from into our channels in order to speak to them, but we do hope you enjoyed the race nonetheless. We certainly did in the commentary booth. My name's Peter Lee, and alongside me in the commentary booth has been Sam Carmichael. We thank David van der Veen, who's been bringing you the stream this evening, broadcasting it all and being in charge of the cameras. So we thank him for his support there. A lot of work behind the scenes, but until Spa-Francorchamps, we'll see you next time, and join us then.